You know what I find quite interesting? What I find interesting is that Democrats will put on a front in public, knowing good and well behind closed doors, the whole house is falling apart. And it's one thing that I'm a little jealous of, right? Even whenever there's any, infighting going on with the Democrat Party, they keep it out of the public's eye. They keep it behind closed doors. Unlike the Republican Party, everything has to spill out in public. You got people like Thomas Massey openly, doing nonsense, which I have no problem with pushback. But when you're doing it at the expense of us winning and just creating a pathway for Democrats to waltz right back on in, then I have a problem with it, right? So what I'm getting at here is behind closed doors, the Democrat Party is absolutely falling apart. Now, for the casual, person in America that doesn't really pay attention to politics, you would have no clue that was actually happening. Because you hear statements from people like Hakeem Jeffries like this.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. So the Supreme Court today effectively gave candidates the right to sue to challenge voting laws that they disagree with. Considering how Republicans have continuously called for election reform, do you have any concerns that there could be a flurry of lawsuits brought by Republicans ahead of the 2026 midterms, challenging voting laws in different states?
We're assuming that Republicans are going to do everything possible to prevent a free and fair election from taking place in November of 2026. Why? Because Republicans know that if a free and fair election takes place, they're losing. In fact, Republicans are going to get routed all across the country, as we've repeatedly seen, including most recently in the off-year election in November and in the mayoral election in Miami, where a Democrat was elected in early December for the first time in almost 30 years. The whole reason why Republicans launched this failed gerrymandering scheme is because they know what we know. The American people are rejecting their extremism and embracing the Democratic vision for making life more affordable for everyday Americans. And so it's clear to me that though their gerrymandering scheme is crashing and burning, despite all the skeptics out there who thought that Democrats in the House were cooked somehow, as if we were going to step back. No, we didn't step back, we fought back. And they started this gerrymandering war. We're going to end it. And we're not going to allow Republicans to artificially maintain their majority in the House of Representatives. We're going to show up and stand up and speak up continuously for free and fair elections, and that's what the American people are going to get.
Like, that doesn't sound like the speech of a guy whose party is absolutely in shambles, does it? You know? But in reality, if you actually go and listen to some Democrats, especially some of these podcasters, they'll tell you flat out, the Democrat Party needs new leadership. And when they're saying stuff like that, if you're actually in a good position, you're not calling for new leadership. You're not calling for leadership to be replaced if your party isn't in shambles. Check it out.
Some breaking news this morning on the 2024 DNC autopsy. Ken Martin finally agreed to release the full text of the report, which CNN published after the uproar that followed his interview with us a few weeks ago. The 192-page report is riddled with inaccuracies, at times incoherent, ultimately incomplete. The section headlined "Conclusion" comes with an annotation that says, "This section was not provided by the author." Still all you need to know. There's also no mention of Biden's decision to run again, his age, Gaza, inflation. Dan, do you have some thoughts you'd like to share?
This is why I think Ken Martin should step down. I think this is a bridge too far. He cannot repair the trust here. Everything we've
Ken Martin is the current DNC chair, if you didn't know who Ken Martin was or is. Yeah. Just flat out, hey, yo, I think you should step down. If you're actually in such a great position, which you should be, right? Typically in the midterms, the party that's out of power typically has a massive wave. Why are you calling for the ousting of your DNC chair if you guys are in such a great position? If you guys are going to win the House, and as Kamala Harris recently said, if you guys are going to win the Senate, why are you trying to oust anybody right now? Shouldn't you want to keep the status quo? Because the train's chugging along, right? Not so much, huh? Not so much. Here's another clip.
All right, joining me today on iHip News is David Hogg, former DNC vice chair and president of the Leaders We Deserve. Of course, we are here today to talk about the utter breathtaking incompetence of Ken Martin, the DNC, and the autopsy. David, let it rip.
I mean, Jesus Christ, last election was defined more than anything by the fact of the incompetence of the previous administration, only to then result in us having this whole, Ken's whole thing was running on releasing this autopsy report. It's not like somebody forced him into this position. It was literally the thing that he ran on while he was running to be chair of the DNC, only for him to release a report that is incomplete, incoherent, incompetent, and terrible overall. That doesn't mention Gaza once. It doesn't mention inflation. It doesn't mention President Biden's age at all. And it is ridiculous that we continue to have people in the Democratic Party that continuously fail upwards. We need to actually hold people accountable and make sure that we have proper leadership. The fact of the matter is, if we have a guy at the DNC that cannot even put together a report in a year and a half, how can we trust him to run the presidential primary?
I completely agree. It is humiliating. Anybody who cannot, in this political climate where you have dipshit, incompetent, dementia-ridden criminals, dirty cops committing crimes, covering up for pedophiles. And our approval rating is at the same with our party as it is with nationally with Republicans. Ken Martin is an abject failure. He is representative of how Democrats wet the bed, crowdsource what they're supposed to believe in, and do not put fighters at the top of the ticket. I think Ken Martin needs to resign immediately. I think you should run for DNC chair. I am so sick of these lackluster, milquetoast Democrats.
And listen, I'm happy, people like Jennifer Welch is saying stuff like that, because that's not actually the reason why Democrats are losing. The reason why Democrats are losing is because of bad policy. Notice she said nothing about policy. It was all about, this person is weak and that person is pathetic and this person, nothing about policy. So, hey, have at it. Have at it. Replace whomever you want. Still not going to change anything because your policies will still be exactly the same. It never will change. And that is the true issue with the Democrat Party. And things are getting really desperate when Hakeem Jeffries gets on stage and says that he's got to break us MAGA voters. If you don't believe me, well, check it out.
I guess part of how we as House Democrats view this moment, either MAGA extremists are going to break the country or we're going to break them. And our goal is to break them. We will defeat them. We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit because of the extremism that's being unleashed on the American people. That's completely and totally unacceptable.
Well, Hakeem Jeffries, let me let you in on a little something. Us MAGA voters, we don't bend and we don't fold. So you're going to have to break us. You're going to have to break us. And good luck with that. Good luck. You guys already put us through the ringer. You sent us everything that you possibly could have. Put our top candidate in courtroom after courtroom, sullied his name, right? Tried to drag his name through the mud on a daily basis to try to convince us that he was a horrible, terrible, no good, very bad person. Charged him with 34 felony counts. Ooh, he's a felon, guys. You're going to vote for a felon? Oh, you can't vote for a felon. And when that didn't work, you sent bullets in his direction. You killed the number 2 in our party, Charlie Kirk. You tried everything. It didn't work. Because we don't bend, we don't fold, and we damn sure don't break. So try if you want. It ain't gonna work. You've already tried. And you failed. Yeah, sure. You took Charlie. It's tragic. It's sad. It hurt. Didn't break us, though. Did not break us. We still stand tall. And as a matter of fact, I would argue and say that we're even closer together. Because for years now, the Uniparty has been able to infiltrate the Republican Party in the form of guys like Mitch McConnell, Bill Cassidy, right? And others. John Thune, okay? He's up for re-election in 2028. We can't get rid of him quite yet, but I promise you, he won't be a Republican for very much longer, okay? Come 2028, he will be voted out. Tom Tillis, okay? For many, many years, those people were able to just skirt by and we just voted them back into office. It's not the case anymore. And you're in part to blame for that. Democrats. You made us stronger. You made us closer together. So thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Not only that, you got people like Cory Booker, coming out and saying this with the Hill. Democrat Senator Cory Booker said Sunday that his party desperately needs new leadership with midterms less than a month away. Hakeem, aren't you supposed to be one of the leaders? Your own party is trying to oust you. Not only you, but Ken Martin, Chuck Schumer. So if you think you're about to break us, you better be paying attention to what's going on in your own party, because you might not be a Democrat for very much longer in D.C. Just saying. Just saying. When you've got sitting senators calling for new leadership, openly calling for new leadership, you're a leader, Hakeem Jeffries, whether you like it, love it, or hate it, whether I think you're a leader or not. I mean, you couldn't be a leader over here on this side because you're pathetic, but you're a leader in the Democrat Party. And one of your senators just called for new leadership, and you're concerned with breaking the MAGA voters. That is hilarious. Oh, man. That is hilarious. Not only that, you got articles like this coming out. Read the list of Ken Martin's replacement circling amongst Dems. If your party is in such good shape, why all the need to replace anybody and everybody? Including yourself, Hakeem. But he's going to break us MAGA voters. They have literally thrown everything in the kitchen sink at us. Everything in the kitchen sink. Including, more recently, taking some of our most prominent faces, right, that aren't in D.C., the Candace Owens, the Alex Jones, the Knicks, Hodge twins, taking some of the most prominent faces of Megyn Kelly's and turning them, all at the same time, mind you, which made it quite obvious what was happening, made them turn, flip on us. People with massive followings, millions upon millions of subscribers each. Huge. Massively loved by lots of folks here on the right. And it didn't work. You know, that's one thing that I really find hilarious. And it also reassures me that I'm supporting the right party. The fact that they continually throw everything in the kitchen sink at us lets me know that I'm on the right side. I've never seen anything like this. And all of you have said the same thing. You've never seen anything like this. Never. Never has one side gone after one man so hard. They don't go after mass murderers this much. Right? They don't drag mass murderers' names through the mud this much. It's crazy. But once again, like I said, it lets me know that I'm supporting the right party. Y'all get in the comments and let me know. Can Hakeem Jeffries break you? Or is he just another fool? Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. Let me know. Y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.